I will be discussing in this video the fundamentals of language development and early childhood education. The first we're going to go over is the auditory system. The second one we'll be going over is the articulatory development. The third will be first words. And the last one, which is the fourth one, we'll be going over grammar development. Okay, the auditory system. It's important that we can guide the development towards naturally, and so we need to do this by supplying the infant with background noise, especially singing. That it can help us, especially child-directed speech or music. It helps us, for example, from the television, have not been found to foster development of the child, but if we are actually singing to the child, that can really help get them, their hearing and talking and all that good stuff, and help them communicate more. Babies can actually engage themselves in conversation. They're very fast learners, and the communication between babies and older children, whether it's their siblings, cousins, whatever, it helps. It's really effective for them to start talking and learning this information. And this information was obtained from Child Encyclopedia. The auditory system is very vulnerable if there's a premature birth. Infants that are going through this, a quiet environment with infant-directed speech and singing paced according to the infant's individual schedule should be given to them, and even if possible during the intensive care period, which they will have to go through. The babies learn how to produce sounds by trial and error, by listening and looking at the speaker. For learning how to talk, for their speech, it's very important that the baby and the speaker have eye contact. The duration of eye contact is determined by the child, and it depends on the baby's age, starting from just a few seconds. It's very important that the children who have issues or problems or delays learning how to speak have really quiet, peaceful background when they are listening to speech to understand it. Adults should also search for moments that they can share with the baby, have attention for them, especially when the infant is pointing at, a toy or a different object. The adult can, pronounce the name of it a few times, and the infant will learn the name really quickly. All right, articulatory development. There's this belief that basically, if a child who's having a hard time able to understand or is delayed in their speech, that they may need to see a speech therapist. Which, yes, sometimes they do need to see one, other times they don't. For example, I actually had to see a speech therapist from preschool all the way up until 3rd grade. And I couldn't say my own name. My name is Claire, and I would say, "Hi, I'm Claire." But yeah, once I figured that out with my speech therapist throughout the years, it was amazing. I haven't really had any speech impediments since. It's been great. This really happens a lot with with kids that have older siblings, because they tend to talk for them or do the talking for them, at least with my nanny kids. There's a ton of ways that we can determine whether or not the child is at the right, or on the right track for where they should be for their milestones, to see what they can master and what they aren't still mastering or could use more help in. Sounds and speech, other developmental milestones, such as walking and feeding, are supposed to be or expected to be learned, practiced, and then mastered at certain times throughout their typical childhood development. But everybody develops at a different rate, and there's not necessarily a right or wrong time, as long as it's before a certain age. A baby, for example, could start talking right at 12 months, but someone else might not start talking until they're, 2 years of age. It just depends. All right, first words. So in the first 12 months of a baby's life, they begin to create and develop many of the foundations set for speech and language development, and they keep developing these skills at a fast-paced rate for the first 3 years of their life. A child's first words are typically said during the 12 to 18 month period. At this age, children have to say their first words with meaning. For example, when a child says mama, he's calling for his, mom. And then over the next few months as it goes by, the baby will typically keep adding more and more words to his or her vocabulary, and they can understand more than they can actually say typically, and can follow instructions as well. Such as the baby, it could understand when the mom or caretaker says no. However, they don't always obey or listen to the parent when they are told this. When they're 18 months to 2 years through this period, the toddler's vocabulary has grown a ton, and they typically will start putting, short sentences together, little words together, saying, want water or want milk. All right, grammar development. Children don't just learn how to speak, the proper way overnight. It's going to take time. The process of grammar development for children is very slow. No two children are the same. There's general grammar progression that parents and caregivers can expect their child to follow. And as the children move through these stages of development, they will become more and more adept to speaking in proper English. The children typically begin to recognize words between 9 months and 1 year old. At this stage, children speak in just single words. The words that children learn within this age span are typically nouns, such as puppy, bottle, etc. The child doesn't learn how to speak, like I said earlier, right away, overnight. It's going to take time. The process is pretty slow. And then for stage 2, between when they turn 1 and 2 years of age, they develop 2-word sentences, like we had talked about, saying want milk. And then stage 3, during this time, children develop 3-word sentences. So it just keeps going on. It keeps getting bigger and bigger over as the years go on. And those are the 4 fundamentals of language development for early childhood education.